Hi, we are so excited with our topic tonight. We have so many requests. And as you guys know, when we are doing these complimentary webinars, we really do want it to be all about what you're interested in, what you want to learn, and let's face it, what we want to share. We've had some awesome topics come across our path, or even when we go to market, that we love to share with everybody. So tonight our topic is marketing like a boss, one quarter at a time. And I am so excited. Tonight, I have my cohort in trouble in education, JoAnne Lenart-Weary. Hey, JoAnne.
Hey, everybody.
So for you guys who don't know JoAnne, I don't know where you have been, but JoAnne, tell them a little bit about yourself and how we came about this topic.
Well, I'm the original founder of the Decorating and Staging Academy. And as a result of that, I have the pleasure of becoming dear, dear friends with Sandra, who now is the leader of the pack and has been for a number of years now. One of the big things that we're talking about marketing tonight, because I find that as many years, Sandra, and you know this, as many years as we have been doing webinars, when we do a webinar on anything design related, color, design, space planning, whatever, our rooms fill right up. But the business ones usually are not as well attended, or the marketing ones. And by golly, this is the stuff that we need, because it takes more than talent to do what it is we're doing. So we're hoping that we'll encourage you tonight, give you a few ideas, and just kind of talk about ways to approach it. Sandra, do you think really in our industry that most of us really are introverts?
Oh, I think so. And it's like, I think it's nice when we can go into even the room when nobody's home and we get to work our magic and have that creative moment by ourselves. And yes, we enjoy that ooh and ah moment when they come back. But it's like, I've even found when in the beginning, when I was moving heavy furniture in my own house and my husband was offering to help, and I'm like, no, I got it. I got it. I just wanted to get in there by myself and, work it. And I do totally agree. It's the most important thing, because at the end of the day, it really, like we always say, it's a hobby. If you're not making money at this, then it is a hobby. And we put a lot of invest our time and our money to get educated and to learn and to be certified. So you really should get to go by the bank at the end of the week.
And I think the fact that most of us actually are entrepreneurs, that's why we fall down when it comes to the business and marketing. And I know any of you watching this that have been around all of these years say, oh, come on, JoAnne, come on, Sandra, you're not introverts. Yeah, we are. But I learned how to hide behind my craft. And the fact that I've done what I've done for so many years, I'm very comfortable with talking about it. But if you put me at a cocktail party where I hardly know anyone and I have to actually talk about something other than design, it's painful to me. So I want you to understand, when we give you advice or tips or tricks and you say, oh yeah, that's easy for you guys to say, no, it wasn't always easy for us. So I want you to understand that everything that we teach you, we've been there, we've screwed up, we've done it wrong, we did it poorly. And then we started learning how to do it right. So we want to help you to feel the same way and, just to gain that confidence.
And let's be honest, we didn't have complimentary webinars when we started. There wasn't YouTube. There wasn't, there wasn't a lot of people to even ask. I think our industry also, besides having these opportunities to learn like tonight, it's, I think we're actually kinder to each other. We're willing to share. And it's more than just a simple post on Facebook. Tonight's like, let's just go a little deeper. And then we're going to give you an opportunity to even take it more in depth and personalized for you. So yeah, this topic is important for your business, whatever your business is.
And I think we came to the table with a whole different mindset because, remember for me, I'd, been doing design 40 plus years. I was doing design back in the 70s and 80s where, trust me, this was probably the snobbiest industry around. And I was always just a little country girl that loved making things look pretty. And I would go to some of these events and think, oh my God, I can't be doing this because my shoes aren't the right quality or, and people didn't share. And that's why when I had the opportunity, and Sandra, I know you have always felt the same way too. It's like, no, I want to help somebody else skip those road bumps. So let's talk about some of that.
Let's get started.
And throughout the slideshow, you're going to see a variety of hairstyles for both Sandra and I.
This one I hope is not repeated.
So the one thing that I want to think about, when it comes to marketing your business, I think it's just, we look at that calendar of 12 months and it's like, oh my God, I got to think about what I'm going to talk about and do for all of that. But I found that breaking your marketing calendar into those quarters and being ready a month before the quarter comes, you're always going to stay ahead of the game. And the one thing that I always tried to do, particularly with my residential design heyday, was I would make sure that, for October, November, December, I would have my marketing plan ready for that last quarter by the middle of September. So I was always a month ahead. And what I would do is I would just take a couple of days. I'd set aside 2 days in September and say, all right, I'm creating my marketing strategy for that last quarter of the year. And, in December, I'd create my marketing strategy for the first quarter and so on. So that way, instead of me waking up in the morning and saying, oh my God, I know I should be doing something, but what should I do? I guess I'll write a blog post and then, maybe a week later you do something else and nothing's cohesive. So tonight we're going to talk about some ideas for the last quarter, but I want you to think you have a good, we're just coming to September 1st is Thursday. So you have a couple of weeks that I want you to think about what can I be doing in that last quarter and already have it laid out. The beauty of that is now too, when December comes, you're already going to have a head start because January will be in the queue and it's going to keep you going. Where we fall down in marketing is that we do this stops and starts. And we are as guilty of it as you are. And me in particular, since COVID, I've gotten really lazy since COVID. And Sandra and I just had a talk today that it's like, we got to do what we were preaching. I'm at this stage of my business where I don't really need to market if I am working with clients anymore because I've been doing it for so long. So word of mouth does what it does well for me. However, I don't care how long you've been in business, you cannot count on that alone. So look at that friendly little calendar and know that you're just going to spend some time 4 times a year, 24, 1 or 2 days that you're going to lay out that calendar. And if you talk to any big business, if you were to walk into restoration hardware today, they already know what they're doing next year in 2023. So being ahead is going to help you. So, we've all heard about the intermittent fasting thing. I still don't quite get that, but because there are moments that I don't put food in my mouth. But before I had a boss attitude about my business, I was an intermittent entrepreneur. I ran hot and cold. I would have months that I would kill it. And then the fact that when I was killing it, because I was so busy, I wasn't working on my marketing. Then I could see it about 2 months later, I would see that slump because I had not planned what I was doing. And so I did what we all do. I blamed others. My customers weren't bright enough to know they should hire me. The market was bad. The interest rates were high, whatever. I had a whole list of the reasons that were the problems, what the problems were. So I try that again. I had a whole list of excuses when things did not go well, and I blamed everybody but me.
It's so easy, like you said, to even think about intermittent fasting and, even down to, I had to go to dinner last night. But at the end of the day, there is some measure. There's a way to measure your success. And, the scale's not going to lie if you cheated, just as well as, your clients or your income. And the really interesting thing, if we could just get it in our brain and use that calendar and what you're going to learn tonight, is that it's so much easier if we just had a little consistency, because you have to ramp up again and you have to go back and think, oh gosh, now I want to change the calendar. And it's like, we talk about, once you place furniture, don't go moving it around or changing it, because it's a waste of time and energy, and it's not fair to your client. Well, you kind of are the client in this case, in that it's not fair to you to have to start this whole process and motivation over.
Right. And as we go through today, again, please, everyone know your questions are welcome and encouraged, because we've always been very casual in what we are doing. So one day I had an epiphany. I realized it was my fault. When business was bad, it was my fault. It wasn't anybody else's. It was because I was not juggling enough balls in the air. And we all know that can be overwhelming. And so then I had to think, how can I fix this? What do I need to do? And I realized that I needed a plan. I needed to take a boss approach to what I was doing. I was in charge. It was nobody else's responsibility to make what needed to happen. And even though I had a team, someone still had to tell the team what to do. Someone still had to have that vision. And when I realized that it rested on my shoulders, that was when I really started making money. I learned how to delegate. I learned how to find my voice, because it was important for me to not sound like everybody else that was out there as well. So the whole purpose of having a marketing strategy is, first of all, to build awareness. Sandra and I see it all the time. Someone says, hey, I took some training, I have my business cards, I put up a website, or I have my social media. Hey, I'm ready. It's like nobody believes in you yet. No one knows that you even exist. People ask the question first, what can I charge? When the question should be, what am I worth? What is the perception of my customers of what am I worth? And that all ties directly into your marketing. For those of you that are with us, and I can't see everybody's names that's here today, but I know many of you have been listening to the two of us for a number of years. You come here because we build awareness, and like, and trust us. If we're sitting in front of you, we're going to share something with you that has value. And that's a step that everyone tries to skip when they're building their business. You have to gain that credibility, which then is going to build a demand for what you bring to the table, which will increase income and help you to reach goals. And your major goal should be to have a business, not a hobby.
JoAnne, I love what you said about what you're worth. And can you sell it? Can you even say, because I remember the first time I had a client say, well, you're more expensive than the other people I talked to. Can you
Mhm,
tell me why? And you
mhm.
have to be, besides having all this presence that JoAnne just talked about, you know, and I always tell everybody, as weird as it is, I stood in front of a mirror and practiced. And I thought, if I can't even sound good to myself in, you know, the bathroom mirror, so to speak. So you have to be able to sell your worth, but it is, you know, backed with everything that we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, and the fact that everybody else is charging a certain price, my $75 is worth a whole lot more. If I were charging 75 an hour, someone's getting a whole lot more from me than a beginner at 75 an hour. So don't be afraid to, set your prices a little lower to begin with, because when all is said and done, you're probably going to be charging the same amount of money until you build that confidence. But give yourself that raise every few months. Don't just get hung up on what everyone around you is charging, because you've got to earn it. You have to be worth the money. Without clients, you're not going to have a business. But one of the things that I think is beautiful in what we do, we need less people than we think we need in more
Mhm.
cases than not. I'm not a retail store where I have to make sure that I sell 1,000 dresses to make enough money to pay my overhead and everything else. You need to know what you want to make, what you want to generate, so you can have an idea of how many customers. If you're focusing on one-day decorating or redesign or consultations, then just do the math and say, all I want to do is consultation, and I'm going to charge $250 for my consultation, and I want to earn $10,000, a gross $10,000 a month. Just do the math. But you don't need thousands and thousands of people, especially if you're smart and you're making money also on product and not just your time. Once you get those customers, you got to nurture them. You have to flatter them. You have to make them feel special. You have to do things that get them talking, that want more of you. And some of you have heard me make the comment, I'm not looking for one-night stands. I'm looking for long-term relationships, because my customer may not spend as much as with me in 2022, but 2025, she says, hey, I have a windfall and I want to spend more money. I want to be her go-to person. So I'm going to do things to nurture them and make myself memorable. Like when I have a one-day decorating project, when I leave at the end of the day, there is soup in a crock pot and crusty bread and a dessert sitting there for them. People talk about those kind of things. That's all part of marketing as well.
You know what? And that was a phrase I didn't think I learned until I'd been in business for years. But we are service driven, not product driven. And when the minute I said that the first time to a client, she goes, it was like they could breathe, because they thought, oh, she's not going to push something on me that I don't need. It's all about you, Mr. and Miss Client kind of thing. So, yeah, so that's an important part. And that's why all these other factors, I think, really play into it, learning how to make them feel like they are special and it's all about them.
So as you're planning now this last quarter, you want to think about how much money do I want to make in this last quarter? So how many customers do I need? So I want you to take a minute to think, put on your customer hat. Why did you hire somebody? Why did you hire a painter, someone to repair your car, the refrigeration man, a handyman? What is it that drew you to that person? What made that decisions? Because those are the same thing. You're a service industry. What is it that would make someone say, hey, I talked to JoAnne today and I talked to Sandra today. How do I choose between the two of them? So think about what has triggered you to hire a certain person when you were maybe getting some different estimates. Sometimes it may be purely price-based. You know, someone gave you the cheapest price, although that isn't where most of us tend to go. We tend to go with the person in the middle. So keep that in mind. But think about it. Put on your customer hat and say, why did I hire that guy to service my car? Or why did I hire, you know, that company to shampoo my furniture? What was it about them that made you feel comfortable? And how can you adapt that to your own marketing? So we're going to talk about the B.O.S.S marketing formula. And B.O.S.S is be bold, be original, be savvy, and have a strategy. Those are the foundational points of your business. So you need to make sure that your marketing strategy is you, and not some generic kind of plan. Because do you stage? If Sandra and I were both doing the same room, even if we had the same products, our room would have a different flavor to it because of the way that we approach the process. If Sandra and I were both decorating in identical houses next door, I am sure they would not look like one another. We've we've worked in different areas. We've been exposed to different things. You know, if I was telling a story, I might tell a story in a different way than Sandra has. So you need to change your marketing so it feels unique to you. And you need to understand your B.O.S.S style. So number one, you need to be bold. Now listen, bold is going to mean different things to different people. Bold is going to change the longer that you are in business. You know, some of the things that I do now or I've done in my last 10 years of marketing, I never would have done 40 years ago. But understand that most of your customers are within 30 miles of your front door, unless you're focusing on e-design. Most of them are within 30 miles of your front door. So how can you get hired? They need to know that you exist. My phone keeps dinging. It's that time of evening that my daughter starts her texting chains. So
she is sitting on that phone. Can you guys?
One of the things that you need to understand with your marketing strategy, if you're not uncomfortable doing it, you're doing it wrong. You need to push yourself. We all need to be chameleons and adapt our approach to who our client is. If I am a high-end luxe designer, I'm going to go on a consultation dressed differently than if my major focus is one-day decorating. I could show up at a one-day decorating job in a nice pair of jeans and a button-up blouse. But if I was going on a luxe job, that's not the way I'm going to dress. So it's the same thing with our marketing. We got to tell our story in a way that fits the message we want to send. So I want you to think of the rest of this year in 2023 as your year of yes. You may be frightened to do these things, but it's your year of yes. And I promise you, if you do, it will also be your year of profits.
And JoAnne, I think it's been interesting to me. And I love what you said about dressing for the client. That's something I guess I just never thought about that much. But when you live in very relaxed areas like, you know, Park City, Utah, or Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, yes, a lot of people are more casual and dressing like that, even when they what might be in a totally different outfit if you lived in another part of the country. But you have to get out of your comfort zone, even though you may be the only one in a nice pair of palazzo pants or something. You know,
Right.
and I love the fact if you can, I always identified a few outfits that I could go to a consultation and then go straight to a job if I had to, that it didn't look like I was too dressed. I wasn't wearing heels or anything. So
Right.
those are those kind of, you may feel like you look out of place. It may not be your style, but your client needs to like the way you look too.
Absolutely. And you know, let's be honest, Sandra, since you and I started our business, the world has become so much more casual. You know, I mean, remember the days of the Tonight Show that you would live to see what kind of beautiful gowns
Yeah.
someone was going to be in. And now, you know, they show up in torn jeans and the world has become more casual. COVID caused us to be
Even
more
worse, yeah.
casual. You know, sitting around with no bra, which everyone knows that's my favorite thing in the world to do. But you know, all of that. So now when we're back out into the world, it's kind of hard to bring that in. So like I said, it's not that you're trying to be who you're not. You're going to be the best version, the bold version of who you are. And again, your bold may be different than ours, and that's okay. The goal is to make yourself a little uncomfortable in the way that you're getting out there in the world.
And you know what? Ask somebody, how do you think this outfit comes across? What message am I saying as I go on this consultation? There's nothing like a good girlfriend to say, you know, maybe, you know, as my daughter would get that off your body, you know,
Yeah,
to give you some good advice.
and it could be, I am not a designer bag person. I have never gotten the whole thing of why do I want to wear somebody's initials or name all over my body, but I can buy a quality looking pair of shoes that don't necessarily say I'm hung up on designer. So it's finding that way of just sending a message, because it just helps people to feel relaxed and know that they're in good hands. So for me and for Sandra over the years, you know, I, my humor is always my driver. I mean, I'm not afraid to be silly because I find that when I am silly, it disarms my audience. It just disarms my clients. So some of you may have seen me with curlers in my hair or, you know, my red robe or whatever. All I knew is that when I first started getting out there in marketing, I could be sharing solid, great information. But if I didn't put a twist on it, people would just zone out. But the moment I added some humor to it, they listened. Pay attention to people's body language. I noticed my audience started leaning into me. It's like the moment I see them lean into me or curious about what I'm doing, then I know that they're going to be more interested in what I have to say. So you may not be a silly person. You may not be comfortable with that, but you find something else that will make you be memorable. How many times, Sandra, and I know you can relate to this, have we spoken at an event and someone will say to us, oh, last year we had this person speak. What was her name? What was her name?
Yeah.
And I would say, oh, what did they speak about? What was it they spoke about? And when I'm done with the presentation, what I hear from people is, I'm not going to forget your name and I'm not going to forget what you spoke about. So if you're going to do it, be bold.
Love it. I will say this though, I was with one of my friends who I love dearly, Bobby McGinnis, and we were going to do a skit at a home and patio show. And I had convinced her that this is what we needed to do to be bold, you know, to be memorable. And I had the skit material, that the props we were going to use. We literally are like 3 minutes from walking out on the stage and she says, I can't do it. I'm like, what? And she was serious, but it was not her bold. So yeah, we had to pivot. It was still, you know, good and people still remembered us. But now I was out of my comfort zone because now I had a plan what we were going to do. So we had to adapt.
Yeah. So when it comes to being bold, I want you to think about, where will you be bold? What are these things you're going to do? So are you going to focus on being visible online? And that doesn't mean showing your face. Listen, I mean, turning 70 this year, my face on camera is less and less appealing. So if you're not comfortable showing your face, we can talk about other ways for you to do that. Do you want to be visible live? I still think there is no better way to build your business than to do live events in your community. Do you want to simply be visible through your content? Is it the message that you are sending? Is it the tips that you're sharing? Do you want to be visible audio only? Do you want to do podcasts or Clubhouse? What is your vice that you're going to choose? Do you want to do expert kind of demos, you know, how to create a floral bow or whatever it may be? Maybe you're the kind of person that you can be bold, but you feel a little more comfortable if you're doing something with your hands. Checking and connecting with local media. That was so good for my business. Local nonprofits, helping them to earn money while you earn money and gain credibility. Kindred spirits, you've heard us talk about that before, and that is simply an entrepreneur who shares your target market. What can you do together? Because now you get introduced to a whole new pool of people. Bottom line is you need a village when you are marketing. And
Didn't think you're on camera.
And the more that you can connect with other people that do the work for you, the better. She's a little cutie pie.
Isn't she cutie? Okay, now okay, hold 1 sec. Okay.
So there is a worksheet here. Take a picture of it, but I want you to select 2 B.O.S.S, bold things that you can do. Maybe it is you say, okay, I'm going to be willing to do something online once a month, and I'm going to write some blog posts, whatever it is. Pick 2, select 2 that you're going to commit to, because these are going to help lead to your individualized marketing strategy. Don't be generic about what you are doing. Okay, next. So this would be an example for me if I was doing it. My bold would be, I'm going to work in front of a live audience. Excuse me. And I'm going to build a social media content strategy using Pinterest or Instagram or whatever I decide.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, step 2, be original. That is critical. There was just a thing in one of the design rooms, and they were talking about how if we scroll through Instagram with this trend of, you know, white rooms with warm woods. A few years ago, it was gray. Every picture looks the same. Now, listen, there's an appeal to it. I love the farmhouse look, but I'm sick of seeing it everywhere. I couldn't tell you one designer from another because overall the look is the same. So you have to find the things. Maybe you're using this farmhouse look, but you're using some bold colors somewhere in the space. So what is it that makes you original? And who is your niche? Who are you trying to appeal to? You know, if my target market is millennials, I'm going to do things a little differently than I might if my target market were baby boomers like myself. Understand what they want to know about. What do they want to learn? And my God, do not be afraid to teach them something. That simply means you're smart, you're an expert. Also, whatever you're doing, align it with your quarter. We've talked about dividing into quarters. We're coming into the 4th quarter. There are so many things that you can focus on, but how can you give it a twist? One Christmas program I've done for years is the Busy Woman's Guide to Christmas. That's who my customer was the woman who had a family, was working part or full-time. My target market was the busy woman. And so I geared my programs and my presentations to them. Also, create some proprietary language. What are some terms that you can talk about? You know, within the DSA and in the training materials we've developed over the years, we have decorating in the zone, which is our process of vertical balance. Come up with some terms that they don't necessarily know exactly what you're talking about. Remember, you're the expert. Make them a little curious.
2 things. I did I love that part about teach them and don't be afraid to share your knowledge. I've heard so many times, like, I don't want to tell my client, these rules, like we were talking about the zones. I just had one client and he goes, "Oh, you're my educated decorator." And I go, "Oh, you're educated." He goes, "Well, you're educating me." And I've realized with this client, it made our decision process so much easier because I've told him why we needed to put something in the skyline zone because I educated them. And it really takes the guesswork out of it. I had a client today online and we were talking about, she goes, "Do you think this fabric is too busy on this rug?" It took, 2 sentences why that fabric still worked. We talked about the scale, it just was a nice educational moment. But
why?
exactly. And so then it gave me the credibility. It gave her peace of mind that I knew what I was talking about. And it ended up to be an easy, smooth process for her.
Right. She knew she had found a safe place to fall.
And she could ask questions. Like JoAnne said in the beginning, when we all started, it was that designer mentality of, you will do this. Right. And they should have the ability to ask questions. So, and you know what? I love that we were talking about things that we've done that it's original, but what we're doing right now is a this or a that on our social media platform. And not that there's other people that have done that, but what we pick as the this or the that is what kind of is made that a little bit original and unique for us, and trying to pick the things that maybe line up in our area or my audience. So it's okay to even spin an old idea and make it yours if you want to. So
absolutely. The other day I did a seminar on Clubhouse, and the topic was numbers you need to know. And so we talked about, 5 key room shapes, 7 key ways to arrange your furniture, how to know the size of a chandelier. All of those things that you each need to know, because you can drop them like pearls of wisdom. And again, it validates who you are. And just like Sandra, when Sandra's customers said to her the other day, "You educate me," it's like, okay, Sandra, give yourself a raise, because she just validated herself and gained credibility. So what makes you original? And here's a list, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but simply your life experiences, your industry experiences. When Sandra and I talk about the fact that, together we have over 60 years of industry experience, you're going to feel pretty comfortable working with one of us. We've probably encountered it. Your culture, the things that you have experienced in your life, the things that you have seen, the fact that you've traveled, your passion. I can't tell you, when I had my retail stores, the people that would come in and end up scheduling a consultation with me because they would overhear me talking to another client, and they would say to me, I had no thought at all of hiring a designer, but you got me so excited about her house. I want you to have my house. So, help them to see how enthused you are. The recognitions that you have earned. I was just, somewhere here, Sandra and I both have been very blessed that we've won lots of awards over the years. Primarily, who's impressed us, my 6-year-old granddaughter, because she thinks the trophies are beautiful. But those things validate you. Your presentation style. Again, we talked about the fact that I tend to take a humorous approach to things. I'm a storyteller, as is Sandra. So all of those kind of things can make you different and unique. And even your appearance. You may be a person that, loves to dye her hair red, blue, yellow, whatever it may be. And that's going to make you stand out in the crowd. And some people will say, "Oh no, she's like, come into my house." And other people will be like, "Oh, this is exactly who I want." Someone who does not take themselves so seriously.
I know JoAnne and I have a couple peers that do that. And I said to them one time, I said, "Why are you not coloring your hair the color of the year?" What a what a conversation starter. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. Did you see this was Pantone's color of the year or Sherwin-Williams or whichever color looks better on you?
Yes.
But and the other thing is, we've talked about this a lot tonight about asking other people too, if you need help. I remember one day when JoAnne said, "Oh my gosh, Sandra, not many people have moved as much as you have." And
Mhm.
it was something that I was relating to my staging clients.
Right.
I've been there. I know what you're experiencing. So there's always something that you can find. You just, if you can't think of it, ask somebody.
Right. And I apologize
Ask
for my husband's phone ringing in the background. So on your worksheet, I want you to pick out 2 things about you that are original. What makes you unique? Maybe it's the fact that you have, this is not your first country, and maybe you speak with a charming, adorable accent, and that's part of what you bring to the table. Whatever it is that makes you memorable, you want to play up on that. And then think about, as you are thinking of your marketing, thinking about what makes you unique, apply the same thing to programs or presentations or blog posts or whatever it may be. I had connected with the local, what is it called? Home, what is
At
that?
home. No,
At home
at home.
store, and did seminars in there on a monthly basis. So one of our topics was small space decorating. And on the team, whenever I'm doing presentations locally, I always look for local designers to work and stagers to work with me. I don't need the glory. I love working with the team. And so one of them was very tiny. And so, it was, Gina was able to share some small space decorating tips. So that was part of what made her unique, was that she was tiny. We called her Tiny Hands. So play up the things that people will remember who you are. Okay, step 3, be savvy. You need to know what is happening out there. You need to know the trends. You need to know what's happening in software. You need to know some of the tools. No, you do not have to be a techie expert, but you can go to the next slide, Sandra. But you need to know enough so that you seem relevant. As I said, I'm 70 years old this year. I still could work very comfortably with the young clients that are my children's age, because I've made sure that I've stayed relevant and I know what's happening out there, what they are going to be drawn to. So I'm not going to give them some old lady version of design. That also means that I might do something a little different. Maybe my eye makeup would be a little crazier or something. Probably not, because I'm very boring. But, think about the kind of things that make you look like you're savvy and relevant. If your website has not been touched in more than 2 years, what are you waiting for? We'll wait till we're done today.
Yeah, don't do it now.
Think again about those savvy ideas that you have, how you can relate them to content and apply them to the quarter. So here we are, as we talk about the 4th quarter, you might do a wreath or a bow making class. I've done them many times over the years. I align with our local historical society. We decorate, people will buy the wreath and we supply a certain amount of materials. All the monies goes to the historical society, but I just have been exposed to a whole new group of people. Maybe you become part of a holiday house tour. Yes, I'm doing one of these this year as well. That's when you know you're really old, when you volunteer all the time. But again, it's going to expose me to a whole different audience of people. Think about a pop-up shop. I've had retail establishments over the years. I loved having retail, but it's very demanding. And so with the new thing with pop-up shops, that would be a great way for you to add some products. Go to the market, buy up some holiday decorations and do a pop-up shop for a weekend or a week. Do a gift wrapping seminar. Show how to take a tabletop decoration from fall to December without changing everything else. Anything you can do visual, people are going to eat up. It is why we spend so much time on Pinterest and YouTube. We love to learn. Participation, anything that you can do that you can be a part of. We just had our 100th anniversary of the George Washington statue in our community. And I volunteered to decorate all the tables for the VIP dinner. And of course, what do people say? Who did the tables? Well, that would be me. All of those things will give you expert status. Just pick a couple of these ideas. You don't got to do them all.
And it's also okay if you copy what you've seen that inspired you. If you, it's like having that passion for what you're doing. But I mean, I remember seeing on a local television show how somebody took a wreath and made it 4 different ways. And I thought, I'm going to take a wreath, but I like the wreath at Trader Joe's because it looks good to start with. But the actual skill set was mine when I did it 4 different ways, but I honestly copied that idea.
Absolutely. And if you're doing those kind of ideas, reach out to your local media. Those morning news shows are always looking for special interest kind of things. Also, when it comes to savvy, pay attention to what the language is. The other day I said something about pot to my daughters, and they're like, Mom, nobody calls it pot anymore. Well, I'm sorry that my drug language is not up to speed, but do think about how people are referring to things in different ways. Practice, experiment, use your home for a lab. Look at the new digital tools that are out there. And you're thinking, oh my God, JoAnne, I need another year of my life just to do this. No, you just need a couple of things that make you feel appear savvy and relevant.
And I'll share, guys, when JoAnne and I started our Real Decorators and Stagers, you see how experiment, no excuses. We just went live. We probably had technical difficulties starting because we didn't know how to work it. And we thought, well, we might as well pick our first topic to be on our screw up, things that we've done in the industry that we learned from, but we really bombed at. Yeah. We woke up the next morning. Now, this is when Reels were just, Facebook Lives were just starting. And I called JoAnne. I'm like, what is this number? Overnight, 800 people had wanted to hear how we had screwed up. We probably could have gone on for hours and hours sharing those.
Yes, we could have.
But I think that in itself helped, make us memorable and, gave us that start to our Facebook Reel group.
Right. Using some of the AI generators that are out there, excuse me. The artificial intelligence generators.
I'm gonna drink water for her.
Oh, sorry. You don't know what to write about. You don't know what to talk about. There are so many of these artificial intelligence generators that you drop in a couple of key words and it will help you to narrow the focus. And I think maybe the next slide, Sandra, has a couple of things on it. Oh, okay, this, and then I'll come to the AI. Listen to what your target market is doing. This was a series that I did on Instagram. You can see how many people were watching them, but notice that one that went viral, 1.6 million. And it was a funny video. So what that told me is my audience wants me to be funny. So I was pleased with 2,000 people listening to my color tips, but the one that really got them was the one that didn't mean a darn thing, but it increased my following 1,000 people in a very short period.
That is crazy, guys. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things, JoAnne, you had said about this is she also did a little research and found out what music was trending. As she is being funny and hilarious, and it's something that you want to watch again, she also played some good music in the background.
Yes, it was trending music. So here's an example of AI, and then I have another slide too, but all you do is you go in and you plug in a couple of keywords and it'll say, hey, why don't you write a article, 3 design tips to get the most bang for your buck, or a step-by-step guide to achieving color harmony. And if you go to the next slide, Sandra, not only will it give you titles, this is all AI written. So these are intros. I was going to write an article on holiday decorating, plugged in a couple of keywords, and these were 4 intros that I could use to start out. It will write my whole article for me with my help, and then you can go in and finesse it. But if you're not a writer, or you're not a talker, or you don't know what to do, these AI things, and many of them are free or free for a certain period of time.
And don't panic if you don't even know what AI means. That's
artificial intelligence.
Right.
But again, it's about being savvy, using tools that are out there to benefit you. So think of 2 savvy actions. So when you are done with today's presentation, you should have 2 things that you're going to do bold. You're going to highlight 2 ways that you are original. You're going to make sure that you're savvy. And now let's be strategic about what we are doing. Step 4. So being strategic simply means that you have a plan. You don't say, I'm going to write a blog post today, and hey, I might write one again in 3 weeks, and then maybe I'll write one again. There are all kinds of virtual assistants out there for very reasonable money that can do the work and the writing for you, or they can take your words and translate it into a reel or a post for very reasonable money. If it's not what you're doing, still just have a plan. So here, Mrs. Virtual Assistant, I want you to post every Tuesday and Thursday, and we're going to talk about spring cleaning next month, and the following month we're going to talk about making front door wreaths or whatever. Just lay a strategy in place so your work is worthwhile.
I think too, if you're strategic about it, then you're not doing that, shoot from the hip kind of post,
Yeah,
like,
oh
yeah, I, saw something cute, or like, here's where I want to travel to. Nobody cares where I want to travel to. They want to care if I can make their room look nice.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So when it comes to being strategic, you want to think about what are the strategic elements you need to implement. You need to know who your audience is, so I know who I'm talking to. You need to know what kind of a time frame are you filling. Are you doing a 10-second something? Are you doing a 20-minute presentation? You need to know what your goal is. Why am I doing this today? And why am I speaking to this audience? Because I want to get some new customers out of it. Understand what you're trying to accomplish. Understand what your process is and what your flow will be. And here's an example of a monthly content calendar that we created to kind of give you, just lay it out. And now I'm going to spend 1 or 2 days, do everything I need to do for that next quarter that's coming up. And I'm going to rock and roll in the dough.
Oh, that was good. So if this is overwhelming, don't panic, because she's got something for you at the end about how to make this simple.
Okay, so think of 2 ways that you want to be strategic. What is it you want to do? Is it simply that your strategic is that you're going to increase your Instagram following by 100 people in the next quarter? Have some kind of metric so you know if it is working for you. Okay, so questions, please feel free to post them if you have any. If you want a deeper dive, we're going to do JoAnne Show's Boss Group, where I'm going to take many of those things and not just tell you to do it. We're going to actually do them together. You will be on your computer at the same time I am on mine, and we will be learning how to work AI together, how to create something on Canva. And that'll be $39, and that will give you a generic quarterly plan. If you're serious, then book a personal boss session, and it will be then unique and specific to you and what you bring to the table. No one else will have your boss strategy.
And if you joined us late, the chat box is not open for some reason, but I just sent you a reminder to raise your hand if you have a question, and I am happy to open your mic and go from there and see if anybody, and don't be shy. I know we talked about being bold tonight, so you be bold.
Yes.
Okay, so, I've got one question. Tell us a little bit more about AI sites or how to find them. What one do you recommend? Is the highlight.
So, artificial intelligence sites, there are a few. And Sandra, if you maybe go back a couple of slides, I think I might have a couple of names in there. But if you just, if you were to just type in content building with AI. This one I did with Snazzy AI, SNAZZY.AI. But there's a number of them that are out there. So simply Google artificial intelligence for content building. And you'll be amazed. Some of them are free. Some of them have a fee. Some of them are free for 30 days. Get it for 30 days and work your butt off and take advantage of it.
So y'all, this is a really great opportunity to have somebody pretty much hold your hand through it. Because it is complicated. I mean, listen, I set a new goal. I kind of followed this same strategy. Sometimes you may not even realize, the B.O.S.S part of it. But I thought, okay, I got, Facebook and I've got Instagram under control. Again, hired some help where I felt like I was not consistent, but I thought, okay, I can do Pinterest, and there's things to learn about Pinterest. And if you don't know, you pick up the phone, sign up for one of JoAnne's classes or whatever it might be. But I think starting with that content calendar geared to you, I mean, some of you may not even do decorating. You're all staging related, or maybe you're not have any certifications yet, but you want to start building your following.
Right.
But, so yes.
Because that's the bottom line. You want people to give you money for what you bring to the table.
And, I'd gotten a call today. I'm so glad you're on tonight, Nikki. Nikki Latanza we were talking about social media, and I said, oh, you're in luck. This is the, complimentary, last Tuesday webinar that would just line up and give you a little kickstart and get you started on even just how to build that content calendar. How many words does your blog need to be? Those kind of things. So, and again,
I did not put my email in there. If anyone has any questions, if you would just put my email on the screen. And those are the links if you want to sign up for one of those products. But you can just email me. JoAnne at the JLWcompany.com. I knew you knew that, Sandra, but
I am putting it right there. Everybody should be able to see it in the chat box. And then this is recorded. We said that before we started. So the recording will be available tomorrow afternoon, and we'll post it up there on the YouTube channel, and you can listen to it again. So don't be shy, reach out to JoAnne, make sure if you can't see, and I'm pretty sure you can, what I just typed, please raise your hand so I know. But I am pretty sure we are good. All right, guys, we are right. We are 5 after. We did good. Well, excuse me, you did good, JoAnne. Thank you for sharing all this wisdom. And okay, thank you guys, and feel free to reach out to JoAnne or myself if you have any questions about anything. We're here to help you.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
See you later, everybody. Bye.
Bye.